The first thing you have to know is yourself. A man who knows himself can step outside himself and watch his own reactions like an observer. The great source of both the misery and disorders of human life seems to arise from overrating the difference between one permanent situation and another. It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest. The poor man's son, whom heaven has in its anger visited with ambition, goes beyond admiration of palaces to envy. He labors all his life to outdo his competitors, only to find the end that the rich are no happier than the poor in the things that really matter. Man naturally desires not only to be loved, but to be lovely. No society can surely be flourishing and happy, of which the far greater part of the members are poor and miserable. Resentment seems to have been given us by nature for a defense, and for a defense only. It is the safeguard of justice and the security of innocence. They learn to ignore the evidence of their senses, to preserve the coherence of the ideas of their imagination. How selfish the man may be supposed, there are evidently some principles in his nature which interest him in the fortune of others and render their happiness necessary to him, though he derives nothing from it except the pleasure of seeing it. All for ourselves and nothing for other people seems, in every age of the world, to have been the vile maxim of the masters of mankind. Every man, as long as he does not violate the laws of justice, is left perfectly free to pursue his own interest in his own way and to bring both his industry and capital into competition with those of any other man. The furious behavior of an angry man is more likely to exasperate us against himself than against his enemies. Every man lives by exchanging. Man is an animal that makes bargains. No other animal does this. No dog exchanges bones with another. All money is a matter of belief. As soon as the land of any country has all become private property, the landlords, like all other men, love to reap where they never sowed, and demand a rent even for its natural produce. Labor was the first price, the original purchase that was paid for all things. It was not by gold or by silver, but by labor that all wealth of the world was originally purchased. It is not very unreasonable that the rich should contribute to the public expense, not only in proportion to their revenue, but something more than in that proportion. What everything really costs to those who want to get it is work and the pain he must win to get it. What can be added to the happiness of a man who is in health, out of debt, and has a clear conscience? Adventure upon all the tickets in the lottery, and you lose for certain. And the greater the number of your tickets, the nearer your approach to this certainty. No complaint is more common than that of the scarcity of money. Consumption is the sole end and purpose of all production, and the interest of the producer ought to be attended to, only so far as it may be necessary for promoting that of the consumer. Wherever there is great property, there is great inequality. The real tragedy of the poor is the poverty of their aspirations. Virtue is excellence, something uncommonly great and beautiful, which rises far above what is vulgar and ordinary. Never complain of that of which it is at all times in your power to rid yourself. Virtue is more to be feared than vice, because its excesses are not subject to the regulation of conscience. On the road from the city of skepticism, I had to pass through the valley of ambiguity. What is prudence in the conduct of every private family can scarce be folly in that of a great kingdom. Problems worthy of attacks prove their worth by hitting back. Mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. Science is the great antidote to the poison of enthusiasm and superstition. Individual ambition serves the common good. A nation is not made wealthy by the childish accumulation of shiny metals, but is enriched by the economic prosperity of its people. Governments are, without exception, the greatest spendthrifts in the society. In the midst of all the exactions of government, it is this effort, protected by law and allowed by liberty to exert itself in the manner that is most advantageous, which has maintained the progress. There is no art which one government sooner learns of another than that of draining money from the pockets of the people. After all the proper subjects of taxation have been exhausted, if the exigencies of the state still continue to require new taxes, they must be imposed upon improper ones. The agents of government that regard the wealth of their master as inexhaustible are careless at what price they buy and at what price they sell. Civil government, so far as it is instituted for the security of property, is in reality instituted for the defense of the rich against the poor, or of those who have some property against those who have none at all. There is a great deal of ruin in a nation